We have been promising to come up to Pollensa for a long time now, and we've never actually made it. First time we tried, we had a storm and a puncture, so that never actually managed to get into Pollensa. Last time we came, we stopped in Pollensa and walked around the market, so we didn't actually get down to the port. So here we are in Pollensa. It's a place Anita actually has been to, but without me. She comes here on the bus with a friend on a shopping trip. I'm just hoping she's not wanted to take me on a shopping trip today.
Not much chance of that.
Let's have a look around. Puerto Pollensa's in two parts. We've got the Pine Walk side, which is down there, and then we've got the beach side that goes down here past the port. But just before we do that, I just want to point out this roundabout, which to my mind was actually the first roundabout in Mallorca. When we very first came into Mallorca 36 years ago, there were no roundabouts, and this is the first one I think that was ever built. And when we came up to Puerto Pollensa for the first time, people haven't got a clue how to use this. Some may say they still don't have a clue how to use it. But I remember driving down that road and a car stopping in the middle of the roundabout to allow me onto the roundabout because he thought that was how you did it. The Spanish highway code gives some rather strange, well, I don't know if it's the highway code or actually the people who do the driving lessons. They tell you to drive in the outside lane all the time, and there's virtually no use for the inside lane. But that's my hobby horse, and I probably shouldn't be discussing that now. Anita wants to take us in this direction. Is that correct here?
So, yeah.
Because
Some shops.
do some shopping. So, for a number of years now, Anita and her friend Yvonne, once a year maybe?
Yeah.
Once a year.
In August.
They get on a bus in Palma and they take it all the way up to Pollensa. It's a long way to go on a bus, but the buses are air conditioned, so it's all quite comfortable. And they come up here and they go on their little shopping trip in Pollensa, in Puerto Pollensa. Last time they came, which was just a few weeks ago, so they've not been since, I don't know, last year. Did you go? Maybe you did before. No, so it's 2 years since they go. And the bus company changed the bus stops in Puerto Pollensa, and they got very confused and stayed on the bus, not knowing where to get off, and ended up getting off
Miles away.
a long way away. So they had a long hot walk into the Puerto Pollensa, but it gives them more time and chance for nattering, I suppose.
It was, we survived. Really hot along the
From the comments I've read, the north of the island has perhaps suffered a little bit more from the pandemic than the south of the island. Pollensa's a fairly British resort. It's a centre where you can get your COVID tests. We're planning to go back to the UK next week, so we're going to get that done. Puerto Pollensa has suffered a little bit. So just as many of the northeastern eastern resorts seem to have suffered. Although Majorca was quite busy when we were there just a few days ago. It's the beginning of August, first week in August, and we came up here what I thought was quite early, but it's really getting very warm here. And as we were actually leaving the northeast, somebody said, why don't you make a trip down to Calabona or Calamillor? And to do these walks in the afternoon is really hard. And now it's 11:15 in the morning and the sun's up and it's getting really hot and there's not a lot of shade. Anita wants to come along here to do some shopping. I'll keep smiling, dear. I think I might cross the road and have a look at the beach. We have other reasons for coming here today. One is to meet our friends who are coming to the end of their holiday. They've been here for a few weeks already, but they'll be returning to the United States next week. So we're going to see them for lunch. And interestingly enough, we're going for an Indian lunch. I love Indian food. I nearly said we haven't had an Indian in Puerto before, but that's not true either, because we have. So here's the beach in Puerto. All the sunbeds are out and the parasols, and there's already quite a few people on there, even though it's still early in the morning. A few people in the sea already. The sea's looking very calm, and it's on the other side of the road, look. So several motives for coming up to Puerto today, and so one is just really because we've neglected making a video up here for such a long time, and it is a really popular resort, and a beautiful sandy beach here, beautiful bay. Look, and you can see that it's enclosed. And because it's enclosed, it means that it's very calm. So, don't usually get big waves here. Right across the way we have Formentor, and when we did come earlier on in the year, we did actually drive up there, and it hadn't actually started raining until we got up to the top of the lookout point. We didn't go on to the lighthouse. But as we drove back down into Puerto, the heavens opened, and we decided it wasn't possible for us to come in and do a walk. So we carried on home, or towards home. The rain stopped, and we had a puncture, so to change the tyre. Some kind-hearted person did offer to help me, but I did it myself. Something I'm fairly used to. I used to do that sort of thing a lot in the past when we lived in England. I always seemed to be changing wheels, changing tyres, or doing something on cars. Since we've lived in Mallorca, I've not really done very much like that there. There is another reason for us being here today, and I'm not sure if it's going to come off or not, but today is this year is the 50th anniversary since the last of the Dornier aeroplanes left Puerto. And Dornier aeroplanes are really fascinating looking aeroplanes. They've got 3 engines, turboprop engines, but that's not the strange thing about them. Though they do look strange because they've got 3 propellers on the front. But the really strange thing is that they are seaplanes, and they were stationed here during the 1930s, 1940s, right up to 50 years ago, and they were used to fish pilots who had to ditch themselves into the sea during the Civil War, I guess, and anyone else who was in the sea, so they could actually land on the sea, pick up and rescue the pilots, and then return to their base here in Puerto. So 50 years ago, the last one was returned to its home base in Germany, and there hasn't been one here since. So today they're actually commemorating that, and there's some celebrations that will have already started here this morning at the military base, which is somewhere over in that direction. And I believe there's going to be some sort of a display of some sort at noon, so I'm hoping that's going to happen. That's in just over an hour's time. And then later on this evening there's a conference, which is the one of the original people who was here controlling all of this is going to give a talk this evening. We won't stay for that because that will all be in Spanish and even in Mallorquin. So Anita's found a shop, and I think we're going to go any further than that. It's a very, very long sandy beach. The green flag's out, so that's telling everyone that it is safe to swim. Light. What have you bought, dear?
Well, I usually like to wear heels, as most of you that know me know, but being as we're doing all this walking, I thought I'd need something a little bit flatter. So I've gone for these. They're okay. They feel really comfortable, so a bargain. So I'll see how they're when we're walking now.
Very good. We're going to walk along here, along the pine walks. Try to find some shade. There's not going to be a lot of shade. Anita's suggesting we walk by the restaurants.
I'll follow you.
So this area is, for as long as I've ever remembered, and it's just been called the Pine Walk. It's not actually with palm trees, but later on they turn into, well, we've got some pine trees as well. There are quite a few hotels along here, lots of bars and restaurants, and some of them protrude out into the sea. So this is the hotel swimming pool. But it's a nice place, and people who come here on holiday will go for a walk along here in the evening, stop off at a bar, stop off at a restaurant, and the beaches here. So, beaches with the parasols, sunbeds, very calm waters. Playground for the children right on the beach, so here it's actually on the beach, the playground, so the children can play in the sand and they can play on the different sunken ship by the looks of things. And it is still only just after 11 o'clock, so people are just having their meriendas, just their morning coffee with a break. And there's a little bit of shade we're coming up to, that's nice.
This on the left is where Dornier and I had lunch.
What a better place. You sit here, have lunch, and you would go out over all the boats there. And even up the side streets there's lots of bars and restaurants that you can call into. Now, not a lot of shade down here. Right in front of us, the hill there, the road that goes up, and it takes you up to a lookout point and down on the other side to the Formentor Hotel. The Formentor Hotel has been sold and is being refurbished, but was one of the most exclusive hotels here in Mallorca, and lots of people, famous people, stayed there. John Wayne and film stars, Winston Churchill, lots of people. Audrey Hepburn. Can't think of when we actually stayed there. We won a weekend away, and that's where we went. We had a junior suite there, which was something like €800 a night, and we've been paying for it unfortunately we weren't, but in one part of the hotel there were photographs of some of the celebrities who had stayed there, but obviously not recent ones in the 1950s and 1960s, maybe up even into the 70s. But a beautiful hotel and in a beautiful position. This is one place, Cispins, very well known on the island, and this place always intended to come, never actually ended up stopping here. So I think maybe a little winter weekend we might come here. Cappuccino, she's open here in Puerto Pollensa. Oh, and I can see some shade coming along. Years ago as well, I used to come up here from a business point of view. A friend of mine who was a builder actually lived in Santa Ponsa but had an apartment up here and then decided to move up here, so I had to come up here to do some work for him. And he was a builder, and one of the things he had me doing was taking photographs of the houses that he was doing renovations to. And so I used to make the trip up fairly regularly at one time. Children on their little summer school, and very typical here in Mallorca. I don't know if they do it elsewhere, but the children are given a rope to hold on to, and keeps them all in line. And now we're getting onto the pine walk proper, and we have the pine trees which are going to give us that little bit of shade as we walk down. Restaurants getting ready, set up for lunches. People are bringing their picnics down to the beach. Many are already in the swimming in the sea. Which is a little way behind. Maybe I'm walking too quickly. This is really quite pleasant. Now we're into the actual pine trees and we get some shade. Pictures there, pencil sketches, Peaky Blinders, some famous footballer, Ronaldo. Big news today though is that Lionel Messi is leaving Barcelona. He's a free agent, he never managed to sign a contract, and it's all about money, money, money. And he's now a free agent, can sign wherever he wants to. His contract with Barcelona ran out, it's not been renewed, and that means that he can play for Real Mallorca. I don't think Real Mallorca could perhaps afford his wages 1 week, never mind a whole year. Perhaps won't be coming to Mallorca. That's sad because he won't actually be coming to Mallorca to be playing with an opponent unless he signs for another La Liga team. Our football starts effectively tomorrow. We have the Palma Trophy, Palma Cup, and it's really, that's the exhibition match when they start showing off all the players to the fans locally. The controversy really is that there's 14,000 season tickets have been sold so far. The season hasn't actually started yet, but they're only allowing 5,000 people into the ground. So it's going to be done on something of a lottery. We've all had to apply for a ticket. The ticket's actually going to be free. I'm not sure what that means because we've already paid for our season tickets. And only 5,000 people are going to be allowed into the grounds. And that really, I don't know how that's going to work. What would happen if Anita got the ticket and I didn't get the ticket, or vice versa? So this is what happened at the end of last season, and we all managed to get tickets. But now, if there's 14,000 season ticket holders wanting 5,000 tickets, the numbers really don't add up. And even when La Liga does start, they're only going to allow about 8,500. They're talking about a 40% capacity for outdoor events, so that must work out as around 8,500. So it all remains to be seen what's going to happen to the football over the next few weeks. We'll probably miss the first few matches anyway because we're going back to the UK.